Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today we are back to work over on the big Golden's cane mill, the monster cane mill project. And I've got the bottom rollers for this cane mill that we have taken off. I've got the gears pressed off of them, and we need to get these ready to pour Babbitt bearings on the journals. But before we do, we got to get the journals cleaned up. They're severely pitted and worn right now, so we're going to turn down to good metal and basically get us a good surface that we can work with for pouring our Babbitts on. So we're going to be loading these rollers up over here in the big Monarch 28-inch lathe so that we can get this done. So let's get these rollers mounted up and going. Put a couple of straps on here. Got our jib crane, and we're going to go ahead and get this hooked up and ready to roll. So let's get our straps in here. Got to come down a little bit more with this. I think that'll work. Just using a clevis with these straps. Get them all contained really well, and now going up. All right, let's see if we can get this in here. Open my jaws up just a little bit more here. All right, we're going to bring that in until it kind of butts up in the back there. And I'm just going to snug these jaws up enough to kind of get it where it's not moving around too much. Down here on the end where we have the center hole, it's kind of rusty and got junk up in it. I've got a big center drill here, and it's too big to put in a hand drill or anything, but I can just kind of come in here by hand, and I'm really not trying to recut it. I'm just trying to clean it up. You can see the dirt and sand and rust and everything else coming out of there, and I'm just trying to freshen that hole up. And I kind of see some shiny in there, so I think we're good. And with that, we can put our live center in there and be turning on the original center. All right, we need to lower things down here a little bit to get the center to line up here. And I will mention too that I've got a brand new live center that I just purchased to go on this lathe. The live center that I had in here before was causing me some issues, and I had to put a little bit lighter duty live center in here. This is about a heavy duty live center that I could find in a number 4 taper. I don't know why this lathe uses a number 4 Morse taper. To me, it ought to be using a number 5 with the size of stuff that we're turning, but we're dealing with a number 4, so that's what we got in there. All right, I've got that center in there. I'm gonna lock everything down. We're gonna get these straps out of here, and we should be ready to, I need to get the other side done with the indicator to get it running true, but we should be getting really close here to starting to turn. All right, let's get this thing running somewhat true. So this needs to come to me here. So I'm gonna loosen this side up. All right, let's come to this one again. 0 on that one, go 180, and we'll try to take half of that out, so we need about 15. That wasn't quite enough. Come back around, we'll re-zero that, loosen it up just a little bit more. All right, we're looking pretty good. Do a little fine tuning here. We're on a rusty surface, so it's not going to be perfect, but we just need to get it a little bit closer. That's pretty good. It's bouncing around about a thou or two, and really can't do much more with it. So we're going to roll with it. So let's take a look at what we got to start with. You can see the pitting in here. Again, we got a pretty deep spot right there. Saw that on the other ones too. And I think that what this was there was an oil groove in the Babbitt bearings, and water got down in there and just set in the same place and ate that out more than it did in other places. But you can see we got a lot of pitting in here. Again, my plan is just to get up underneath all that and get this thing to clean up true. We're going to lose some diameter, but in the grand scheme of things, that's pretty good size diameter anyway, and we're not going to be losing enough to matter from a Babbitt bearing standpoint. See roughly what these were originally. So it looks like 4 8/75, so 4 7/8. We may try to go down to like 4 3/4. May have to go a little bit deeper than that. We'll just have to see. So let's see if we can turn these out. We're going to come in here and touch off, and I just make a fairly light pass down through there to start off with. We'll see how this is going to turn. First pass. So we'll see what kind of finish I'm getting. Yeah, it looks all right for a rough pass here with as much going on as we got going on. I'm going to take a pretty hefty pass this next time. Well, I'm going to be a little conservative getting started. This is about a 50 thousandths total cut. I could take a lot more, but I don't want to go too far too fast. Cutting along here, and one problem that I have with this lathe, and it's kind of evident on this cut because we've got an interrupted cut. This whole compound sitting on this old tracing attachment is not the sturdiest in the world. There's a little bit of flex in this. When you start taking a heavy cut, I can see this thing moving around. If you're taking a uniform cut, it kind of works itself out because it's going to having a constant pressure. When you get interrupted cuts, you can see it kind of bouncing a little bit. What I would really like to do is find a larger compound slide off of a larger size lathe than this one and make a new piece to go down here between them that's going to take out some of this flexure. If anybody out there knows of a bigger size lathe that's being scrapped that we can salvage a compound off of, I would really like to upgrade this because this compound is small for this lathe, in my opinion. This is what they had on it because they had this big tracing attachment in here and they couldn't put a big compound on it, but without using the tracing attachment, it really could use a much larger compound. So anyway, just putting the word out. If anybody knows of a scrapped out lathe that we can get a good compound off of this, off of a bigger lathe, let me know, because I'm definitely looking for one. Still not cleaned up. I've got a little pattern in that one, but I'm roughing right now. I'm not too worried about it. When we go to making a lighter cut, I don't think it's going to be an issue. I'm going to take about a 30/1000 cut this time. It's going to take me a little bit longer. You can see it really bouncing right here coming in that interrupted cut. I got to get that fixed. And the only way to do it is going to be to replace this compound, I think. So trying to make this setup a little more rigid. This slide down here, I've talked about before. This is an old tracing attachment that was on this lathe when I got it. It was missing all the hydraulic component, but it still had this piece on here. And it works out for getting the height of the tool rest where it needs to be. I don't use it. Eventually I want to replace this with just a riser block in here. And like I said, I want to really get a larger compound in here before I do that so that I can make one that's the right height. But to try to stiffen this thing up, there is a gib in here. So this is on a dovetail slide, and there's a gib in here to tighten this up. And I came in and I'm just trying to lock it in place. I don't want this thing to move at all. Normally you would adjust this where it would slide, but I'm just trying to get it cranked down, and I've already tightened it up a bunch. It was really loose, so I'm hoping that that's going to take some of that, make this a little bit more of a rigid setup by cranking that down as tight as I can. We'll see. So I think this is going to be our final pass here. Once we kind of got down below that interrupted cut, things are going much better now. And also when I got down to this final couple of passes, I switched to a finishing insert. The insert I was using before was more of a roughing insert, and I'm just taking a really light pass on this last pass here to hopefully get it on size. And we'll see what it looks like, but it looks, from here, it looks like we're going to have a nice finish, so I'm going to be probably happy with that. We'll check it out here in a minute, but I think we're where we need to be. Well, there we go. Our finished journal came out at 4" 580 thousandths. So we're going to basically, I think this is the worst one as far as pitting goes. So we're going to try to get the other ones to all match this size, so that all of them will just be the same size. And I thought about going down to a nominal size, but 9/16 was going to have to take off a good bit more metal. And I just decided, you know what, we're just going to go with whatever it is. And in this case, it's going to be 4" 580. That'll be fine. All right, I'm going to flip this thing around, get the other end of the shaft out, and we're going to do the similar thing to it, although we're not going to turn the whole thing. We got to leave the outside, this original diameter, because there's a piece that fits up on it, but we are going to turn the journal down with the bearings going to ride on. All right, let's loosen up the tailstock. We'll loosen up the other side here, headstock side. Let's see here. There we go. And we need to flip her around. Now up on this end, because this is a turned surface and these jaws are hard and I don't want to just clamp into them, so I've got some little brass strips here, and I'm just going to put those little spacer in between it. And what that does is just prevents the jaws from marring the work as you tighten it up. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get this one in right here. and get these straps out of here, and we'll get that tightened up all the way around. We'll put an indicator on it and indicate it in like we did the other side. All right, we got everything on here ready to go again. We got the opposite side. This one's different in that we've got an area down here where that gear's going to slide up on it. I can't adjust the diameter of this, maybe just a touch. It was a little tight, but we'll probably just polish that. But where the bearing journal is going to be, which looks like from about here, you can see the wear mark right here. That needs to be turned down to the same diameter as the other side. I think I'm going to do is just go down to the edge of the key here. That'll be a little bit past the bearing journal, just to give us a little bit, make sure we got plenty of room there. And yes, it'll be stepped down below size, but because of the way the Babbitt bearings will clamp on this one, actually just on one side, it's not going to matter if, what the diameter is, as long as the bearing is poured to the right diameter. So hopefully it'll be a little bit easier turning. I've gone back to a roughing insert. All right, guys, we're on our first pass here. Again, we just kind of started here where the edge of that keyway came out. You kind of see where it's worn down right about here. That's where the edge of the bearing was rubbing. This area is a little bit beyond the edge of the bearing, but hey, we're going to go ahead and make sure we get it covered out a little bit farther. I've got a roughing insert in here now. This appears to be cutting really nice compared to the other side, which makes me wonder if the shaft may not have gotten hot at one time and the other side had some hardening going on in it or something. This side here seems to be cutting much smoother. So anyway, we're going to get it down to the diameter we need, which is what, 4.580 is what we're going for. And I'll bring you guys back once we kind of get down there to it. Well, this one is done as well. I got this one down to size. This side turned beautifully. The other side gave me a fit. I mean, I didn't have any problems at all on this side. Again, I'm really thinking that that shaft may have gotten hot at some time and we just had some hardness going on in it. This side turned out a little bit better. I also went ahead and just hit this area up here with some sandpaper while I had it on the lathe, just cleaned it up a little bit. Hopefully those gears will go up on there a little bit easier than they came off. And with that, this shaft is finished. I'm going to take it out. We'll put the other one in. Going to do the exact same thing. Not going to bore you guys with watching another one, but we'll get that one knocked out as well. Well, I'm turning away on the second roller here. I said I wasn't coming back, but I decided to anyway here. This is the second side of this, so basically the last journal we got to get cleaned up. We're getting down close to finished size on it. Just a couple of comments. I don't know what it is, but the long side of these, the side that the gear goes on, has been turning great. The other side has been giving me trouble. I mean, that's nothing we haven't been able to handle, but it just seems like that end of the shaft is harder. This metal seems to be a lot softer. You saw all that stuff going on with the tool posts kind of flexing and bending. It's not doing that at all, even on the interrupted cut on this side, but on the other side it was just hammering it. And I really think it has to do with, for some reason, that side's harder on the other side and it's just tougher on the machine. My speculation is that the bearings got hot on that side over there at one time and kind of hardened the shaft. That's all I can think of. But we haven't had any problem on this side over here on both drums. So I'm gonna stop here. I should be getting down close to my final size. All right, we've got about 50 thousandths exactly to come off of this. I think I'm going to do it in 2 passes. I just like to make that last pass a little bit of a lighter pass. So I'll probably do it 30 thousandths and a 20 thousandths. all finished up. I did polish that a little bit with some emery, also up to here on the top where the gear goes on, clean that up real nicely. Let's see where we ended up. We are right on size. We were shooting for, what is this, 4 inches, 580, and we're within about a thou of that number, which will be plenty good enough, more than good enough for the application. So we've got this job knocked out. I'm gonna go ahead and get this pulled off. We're using the crane, and we'll be done. And we're gonna loosen these up. My shims are falling out the bottom. Just gonna try to catch that. Let's see here. Whoop, going wrong way. Bring it right on out. All right. Well, there they are, the finished rollers. All our journals are the same size, or within a couple thou of each other, which for Babbitt bearings will be, again, more than adequate. I hated I had to take so much material off of these to get them to clean up, but that's what it took. But there's more than enough material there. We got over 4.5 inches of shafting in there for those bearings to ride on. Should be more than adequate for what this mill is going to be used for. So I think we're good to go. Glad to have this checked off the box. We've already got the big roller done, so we're ready to pour some bearings when we get to that point. One more big step knocked out of the way on this project. We've still got a long ways to go, but it is starting to come together now that we got everything back in the shop and everything's going. I think next up for me is I'm going to get the brackets put back on this casting. I've got them back there. I don't want to do any painting until I get the bearings poured, because it's going to have to heat everything up, and that will of course mess up any paint that we put on this. So I want to wait until after we poured the bearings. But I can go ahead and get those uprights installed, because that's where the top bearings are going to go for the big roller. The bearings for these are just one bearing pad on each one of them. And I think for all of the bearings, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually make a pouring mandrel to pour against instead of trying to pour against these shafts. And when we do that, I'll go over exactly why I'm doing that, but it's going to be really difficult to use these to pour on. So we'll be making some pouring mandrels to do that with coming up probably pretty soon. That is going to be a wrap for the day, guys, on this project. As always, thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, if you're watching this channel, if you're watching me regularly, hit that subscribe button. It really helps out a lot. Helps me to get notifications out to you. Hit that bell icon up there too. That will also send you notifications when new videos are posted. And big, huge thank you to those who support the site financially through Patreon and PayPal. Links for that down in the description below if that's something you can help on. Leave a comment, give a thumbs up. That also helps out a lot with the algorithms on YouTube. And with that, we're going to get out of here. We'll catch you on the next video. Again, thanks for watching.